Okay, I was really confused about where that came from for for a second. Uh, Hello everybody. How are we today? I hope we are doing well. Uh, Hi Cribson, welcome in. We're back. We're back with Kerbal Space Program. Of course, best game. And yesterday we built an Orlander, and today we are going to build a space station. Not gonna launch it, of course. That all comes later. Uh, but we're gonna go back into KSP. Hello, KSP. Oop, there we go. Hello, there's KSP. Just tired today. Had to pull out parts of my pops. Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Uh, I mostly did nothing today. I packed. Because I'm going home tomorrow. Uh, but yeah. And then I slept in and I did all my laundry and I packed and now I'm here and I still feel tired. I don't know. The only thing I want to do for the most part. Let's play a bit of Kerbal Space Program. The only thing I want to do for the most part is just sleep. uh Sleep would be nice, but I get to go to bed in like 2 hours, so that's fine. I do have to wake up early tomorrow, but then I don't have to wake up early for another week, which will be nice. I don't know how long the stream is going to be today. Probably not too ridiculously long. Last stream was about 3 hours. This one, I'm aiming for about 2 hours. Hello, Rovo109, watching this in Fishwizard's stream. Yes, I saw that they were streaming. So, last time, we put 4 a.m. for work. Well, in that case, you probably should get to bed rather soon, I would imagine. Last time, we made this vehicle, the Arminmus Orlander, which I think looks really, really nice. And now, of course, what we have to do is we have to build the space station which this is meant to service. So, we have to build the space station which this is meant to service. And I'm just thinking, okay, how exactly do I want to go about building this station? The main thing we obviously need is we need an ISRU. We need an ISRU to produce liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen, and let's just also say monopropellant, right? Obviously, that's going to increase the heat. So we're going to need radiators, we're going to need power, all of that stuff. We're obviously going to need ore tanks. So what I'm thinking for this is we do... Let me just sketch something out real quick. We do almost like a T-shape pattern, right? Yeah. We do almost like a T-shape pattern where what we do is something a bit kind of like this, where you have, yeah, there we go. Just hyper rough sketch where you have these tanks, the main fuel tanks kind of all are on like a base, right? on the bottom. Maybe we have 4. And then you have your ISRU processor. And then on top of that, yeah, you have your refinery, you have your solar and your power for your station. So that's what I'm sort of thinking. Let's go ahead and actually something like that. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do something pretty standard. So command and control. I just have the SimCity 4 soundtrack I had on yesterday because I didn't want to bother. I didn't want to bother having to go back and like find a new game soundtrack or use another one and match the audio for that. So you play Civilization? I do not know. I've never really had much interest in Civ. Okay, we need a battery. Okay, we have a battery right there. And we need an ISRU. We have 2 ISRUs. I think 1 ISRU is going to be fine. Or maybe we can have 2. Yeah, let's just attach 2 for now. And then we'll see from there on out. Okay, so liquid fuel, oxygen, and where's monoprop? There we go. I just want to see. And now what we need. Beyond Sword on Steam, it's for sale for only $6 until the 14th. My thing about buying new games is I'm always afraid that I'll buy a new game and I'll play it a few times and I'll be like, and then I just don't play it again. I'm not the kind of person to really buy new games. I just kind of keep on playing the same amount of games that I always do. Final truss adapter. No. See. Yeah, that's what I wanted right there. And then no too big. The octo, yes, that's what I need. Oh, you can actually put like fuel in this. You want lithium? You want ore? You want xenon? Support? Oxidizer. Well, that contains monopropellant. Okay. The 4 is from 2005. Okay, three right there. Hollow, saddle style truss, open truss. Liquid fuel oxidizer, liquid fuel. Monopropellant. Yeah, maybe we'll include a single thing of monopropellant in there. Anything else? Monopropellant, liquid fuel, oxidizer, support. What does support do? Oh, that also adds. That's monopropellant and electric charge. Okay. That's what we have. Or... Oh yeah, we could fill those with ore. What's our the size of the ore tank which we use currently? That is 3,500. That is 3,000. Or LH2, lithium, argon gas. We'll just keep the monopropellant up there for now. So, okay. Now what we need is we need... let's see. We need radiators, obviously. Where are radiators? Thermal, right? System heat. Obviously, that's going to overheat things. We're in orbit, so a wind turbine doesn't make much sense. Oh. XR600 high temperature heat radiators. Those are the radiators that we used on the other craft. Send radiator out. Those seem to be working pretty well. Graphene heat radiators. What's the difference between these two? I mean, that works. Having those two radiators like that. These are both processing, yeah. Gonna rotate them. So yeah, I get to drive home tomorrow, which is nice. I'm getting to immersive engineering. Immersive engineering, all of the immersive Minecraft mods are really cool. So I have played that before. It is really nice. Here, I know. Realize that that's not actually attached to anything. Solid, hollow. Battle. Oh, luckily, realize it's not actually attached to anything on the side. What we can do... Wait. What's up, playa? Hello, Kara. Welcome in. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm done with the semester, so hopefully I can actually watch more people's streams. Including yours. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. I am, one of the other projects I have for the summer, Kara, is that I'm going to be upgrading all of my stream shit because, well, not the model, obviously, but everything else, because everything that I have is, amateurishly made by my part. So, factories with it, yeah. Hopefully I can make some cool factories with it. Immersive Petrol, Immersive Tech, Immersive Intel, and Immersive Railroading. Yeah, we mostly just played with Immersive Engineering, Immersive Engineering, and Immersive Railroader. We didn't really play with the other mods too much. Graphite radiators have triangular radiance. Hello, not just a boulder. Welcome in, welcome in. They have triangular radiance. System heat. Disable sun tracking? No. Graphene. Hold up. Oh yeah, they do. 30-degree angle. Those look kind of cool. I don't really know, like... I think these will be... I don't think I need the Because these are just static, right? They don't track with the sun. I kind of want the ones that do track, because I think it does kind of look cool. Yeah, the static ones, I think I'll be okay with just using this. Uh, just using the ones that actually track. You have to remember, I have to fit this into a fairing, so yeah, just letting you know. Immersive technology adds proper power generation with steam and diesel turbines, and adds guns, petroleum, take a wild guess. Yeah, actually, in retrospect, I think we actually did have some of those. We didn't have the gun mod, but we did certainly have immersive petroleum, because I remember someone came onto the server, I forget who, and built a massive uh, refinery somewhere off in the distance. And eventually they said, "Oh yeah, I'm not gonna play on the server anymore. Do what you want with it." And it was this big expedition. It was this massive refinery, like 20,000 blocks away from spawn, and we ended up going out there and blowing it to pieces. We took a couple. We placed down because we just had infinite steel at this point. Because we had done all that. So we made a couple of big boys, and we put them in the factory, and we caused boiler explosions. That's how we blew up the refinery. Uh, so okay, yeah. Part variants in the right-click menu using mods if you want something specific. Thank you, thank you. Okay, now we also need solar. We need solar power generation for this. Yeah, depleted in 14 seconds. Yeah, okay. Actually, this is gonna be around min-miss, 25-kilometer vessel altitude. Wait, I'm actually curious to see if that's true. Let me just go and put this out on the runway real quick just to see if, uh, alright. Yeah, I don't think that appears to be correct. Power is decreasing, but not in 14 seconds. Just go ahead and extend these radiators real quick. Reminder, we have to fit this onto a launch vehicle, so I still need a little core segment down here, but oh well. All right. Okay. Some people cheering outside. Oh yes. Titan. Let's supplies for that's life support, which we do not need right now. At some point we're eventually going to need life support, but not right now. Oh yeah, those. I could just put a nuclear reactor on it, but you know what? I don't think I want to. Oh, those are yeah, those are way too small. These are Cygnus solar panels. Let's see, what do we have? We have that. I don't know how I'm gonna fit that into a launch vehicle. We have these Cirrus solar panels. Nautilus. Those could work. Let's just see what we have, right? Uh, Starship solar panels. Are these? Yeah. Speaking of Starship, I've been waiting for this wet dress rehearsal for the Flight 12 stack to actually happen today. Um, those might actually work well. I can like put them up, store them like up here, right? So let's just um I don't think they're gonna do the wet dress rehearsal today for the Flight 12 Starship stack, but that's oh well. I guess I'll just watch it on my drive home tomorrow. Tomorrow is me just I'm just driving home, which will be nice. But about a 4-hour drive. Oh yeah, something like that. That is very Power Tower-ish, which I actually like. Starship fans when the tin can does nothing for 12 hours. Yeah. True, true. But they're actually doing something, which is they're going through a full launch campaign until, they're not actually launching. But that's for later. But I definitely do remember like the time between when the high altitude flight test ended and the first all up Block 1 flight, that absolute catastrophe. The period of like a year and a half in like 2022, 2023, where yeah, there really wasn't much going on. That was we would just stare at a stream for 12 hours and be like, "Oh my gosh, it did something," and it was barely noticeable. Okay. Uh, Power depleted in 1 minute 44. Hold up. Hmm. Just 2 wouldn't work. No. Uh, we're gonna need more. Okay. So that is what that's the Ares solar panels. Can't be retracted, yeah. Starship's block system is so crazy. It's impossible to quantify, but I'll stand by the idea that Flight 1 should be considered a separate bespoke variant from the rest of Block 1, and that's what, since it was basically, let's just get rid of this piece of shit already. Yeah, I mean, there was that theory, which, there's the theory out there that they knew Flight 1 was probably going to be as catastrophic as it ended up being, but they went with it anyways because they're like, well, we need to demo half this pad anyways. Plus, we have this vehicle that it can, in theory, fly. Might as well. Uh. Well, even like with like Falcon 9, right? Falcon 9 Block 5 has supposedly been frozen for what, since 7 years at this point. But, the first version of Block 5 that they flew and the current version that flies do have a fair number of differences, because they've been trying to push it so much. So is it even the same block variant at that point? I don't know. Maybe we can add some, oh yeah, if we had additional panels, right? We can... Vasily Mission and, Peter Zelko would be friends, I think. Good old Vasily mission. I don't really need to say anymore. Man, explaining the Soviet space program to people who don't know is just so fun. Uh, uh, hold up, I always get a kick out of, the Solute conspiracy, which was basically like, oh shit, we need to do something that can steal some of the thunder from Apollo, but we can't actually fly to the moon because our super heavy moon rocket doesn't work. Well, it's even debatable if the N1 really was a moon rocket, a true moon rocket, but that's besides the point. But it was, so it's just... Can I shrink that down? Where it's like, a lot of the not the bigwigs in the Soviet space program, but like people like Boris Chertok and all of those people, you know, the not the main guy, but the second level of all the main guys. We're like, we need to basically do an end run behind Vasily Mishin and Chelomi to basically take their hardware to do this crash space station program. I'll never not be entertained by that. Rise adapter. And then can I like shrink that down? Oh, let's see. Yeah. So imagine NASA, but there's actually 5 different NASAs. And they're all run by personalistic, they're all basically personalistic organizations that all hate one another. uh... And then there's the completely unrelated Almaz program. A completely unrelated military conspiracy. Well, Almaz started because we had our manned orbiting laboratory program, and the Soviets were like, this is 100% a spy thing, like basically a manned spy station, which is just what it was. So, oh shit, we need to put something together. So they went to OKB-52 and was like, Chelomi, build this for us. And he's like, okay. And then after, you know, early 1970, obviously the Soviets have pretty definitively lost the moon race while denying they were ever in it to begin with. Followed by, it's like, okay, we need to do something to one up the Americans do something new, that's not a moon landing but still pretty innovative. Like, okay, so basically it was a bunch of the deputies and the various design bureaus that, because the Soviet space program wasn't one unified thing, it was multiple design bureaus, which are basically like military contractors, each led by their own, as I said, each led by an individual with personalistic control that hated all of the other heads of all the other design bureaus and would engage in subterfuge and all that fun stuff. So a bunch of the various deputies from all the various design bureau, for some of the design bureaus, got together and said, "Okay, we're gonna do an end run around them and just go up to the main higher ups of the Soviet state to basically force the two main design bureaus to take hardware, Chalomi's Almaz holes that he was building for the Almaz spy station, and then go to OKB-1 and Vasily mission and take the Soyuz spacecraft and the life support from that, throw it into an Almaz hole, and just build a space station within like a year." And hey, it worked. It worked really well. So, okay. Enough explaining about that. I need to continue. I need to continue with this. And then, of course, you know, the Almaz station still ended up being built because, well, Solute and Almaz used the same hole, but two different purposes. Solute was civilian, Almaz was military, but they disguised the military by basically saying, "Oh yeah, this is just another Solute." uh, okay. Solar panels. Where were these solar panels? Gateway. Hey, look, a dumb program. There we go. Oh, I also just realized that these need to extend out a little bit more, because if they don't, they're going to glitch into that, and I'm going to have a fucking aneurysm. It'll forever be funny to me that the first human object to land on Mars, a milestone which will stand for eternity, was a Soviet that failed in under 2 minutes and transmitted half of a gray blur. Admittedly, very funny. Okay. Let's see. Coupling, payload, aerodynamics. Man, it's great when you actually know what you want to build and you can just slap it together fairly quickly. Ugh. We'll wake up at like 6 tomorrow. Which is not the greatest, but oh well, I will manage. Not Gigantor. Thermal, electrical, gateway, solar blanket. Okay. Gotta make that more compact. Extend solar panel. And obviously those will rotate with the sun. So Um, let's just... I just want to see what that will look like real quick. Uh. Beats. Set orbit. I just want to see what it'll look like. I'm obviously not gonna... The main failure of the USSR after the 70s was that it was obscenely corrupt almost to a comical degree. Oh, I am well aware of that fact. Which is a shame because, like, as it relates to the Soviet space program specifically, which is when the Soviets actually really committed to something, doing something in space, and they weren't trying to either one-up either us or, more often themselves, the other design bureaus. A lot of the stuff they did in space was fantastic. Like, I don't know. I wish there was sort of a timeline where the Soviet space program, instead of being this fractious mess, was more unified earlier on. Because, okay, think about it. Like the N1, right? So the N1 with its, I feel like with Starship having so many engines and this, hopefully it'll be a success. This perception might change, but one of the general perceptions about why the N1 failed was its number of engines. It had 33 engines on the, 33 engines on the first stage. I always forget the exact number. I know 33 is Starship. Engine count. Yeah, 30 engines, 30 NK33s. And part of the reason why that's often cited as a reason. There were some other reasons too. Unlike with Starship, the Soviets couldn't test. They didn't have a test stand for the N1. The first time 33 engines would fire like that was when the N1 went to fly. So they couldn't test the environment of how that would behave without actually flying the thing. That was a problem, plus general quality control was probably the bigger issue. But originally, for the N1, Sergei Korolev, who was the head of the OKB-1 design bureau, like the main one responsible for Sputnik, Vostok, Soyuz, the R-7, he originally wanted to go to... was it Glushko? I think it was Glushko. Sorry, there's like 50 bajillion people. Let's see. Yeah, Glushko. Valentin Glushko, who basically was the guy who did rocket engines with his design bureau. If you wanted an engine, you went to Glushko. The problem is that Glushko and Korolev fucking hated each other. To the point where when Korolev went to Glushko and said, hey, I know we hate each other, but can you make engines for my super heavy rocket? Glushko just refused. He said, I'm not doing that. I hate you. I hate everything that you do. I'm not building you engines. And so he was forced to go to the Kuznetsov Design Bureau for the NK-15s, and later NK-33s. Which, I mean, the NK-33s are great engines when they work. But just thinking about that, like in a unified space program, right? With the Saturn V, you had, yeah, it was Marshall developing it with von Braun and his team, but, you know, that was all one unified thing. And, you know, obviously we had subcontractors, you know, Rocketdyne with the F1s, and the J2s, you know, Boeing first stage, Rockwell second stage, McDonnell Douglas third stage, instrument unit, IBM. But despite the fact that you had all these various subcontractors, it was all sort of unified. If von Braun and the Marshall team went to Rocketdyne saying, hey, build us this engine, Rocketdyne really couldn't say no. They couldn't say no, really. They kind of had to do it. It wasn't the number of them, it was they literally could not be test fired because they destroyed themselves. Yeah. I've been going for 43 minutes and I barely got anything done. Standard KSP. Actually, I'm curious, right? Can we... But that's sort of like fractious, vindictive, I hate you, therefore I'm not gonna do this. Yeah, closest thing we had was the civilian-military rivalry before. Yeah, before Vaughn. Or just before NASA in general, because I think very early on, people realized, all right, we needed to have a unified space program, because before NASA in 1958, you had the Air Force doing its own thing, you had the Army with the ABMA, which included the von Braun team, you had the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, you had the original National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics, which was doing planes, you had disputes between the CIA and the Air Force over who would control the spy satellites, and then the NRO came in, and that complicated things further. It wasn't... Pre-1958 American space efforts were just as fractious as the Soviet Union. The difference is that we had the realization to, okay, if we actually want to get anywhere, we need to fix this. So, NASA comes in, that's the civilian space agency, Civilian Space Agency, you include the former NACA people, you include von Braun's team, you include JPL, they do civilian stuff. All right, you have the Air Force over here, they're responsible for military space, right? They have their Titan program, they have, all these various programs that relate to military things in space, and then off to the side you have the National Reconnaissance Office, which manages the spy satellites, and that's basically it. Yeah, the Navy too. The Navy with Vanguard. Okay, looks like I only really need these two panels. I don't need... Like, obviously it's going to decrease. Who did the nukes, by the way? Actually don't know. Because I'm not too familiar when it comes to the nuclear weapons specifically. I'm more with the missiles. But the Army had their own missile programs. The Navy had their own missile programs. The Air Force had their own missile programs. All of those could deliver nuclear weapons. I based off of what I know, like the ICBMs themselves. Initially, each branch basically had their own missile program. But like the Peacekeeper, right? That was an Air Force thing. It mostly ended up being an Air Force thing with the missiles, for the most part. But early on, each department, basically, each branch basically had their own missile program. And then finally, I think Kennedy came in and said, yeah, the missiles are the Air Force's domain. Navy had Polaris, Army had Redstone, Air Force had Titan, yeah. It was mostly consolidated under the Air Force after a certain point, but certain things like Polaris, right? So, all right, looks like we only need these two. But if you just really think about it, that sort of consolidation down that you had in the 50s and 60s, where you had all of these different agencies doing all their different duplicative efforts, and it's like, okay, we're going to have civilian, which is NASA, military, which is the Air Force, with the NRO off to the side. The Soviets never really had that. it kept being a fractious mess. Okay, so this works, I believe. These solar panels do work. All right, let's actually continue to lock in and get this done. So let's see, down here, hydraulic jack. Huh. What I need is I need a station hub. Joint type. Oh my gosh, look at that. Side note, this is why the Space Force is generally a decent nonpartisan idea, despite what people think. Yeah, agreed. The Space Force is just... The way I describe the Space Force to people who don't know is it's... Think of it like the Coast Guard, but in space. Right? They just monitor... They mostly just monitor stuff. They probably have some, like, anti-satellite weapons, too, but their main thing is space situational awareness. Plus, the Space Force isn't anything new. The Space Force, in the same way how the Air Force started out as a branch of the Army, the United States Army Air Corps, and then after World War II, it became obvious that the Air Force kind of needed to be its own thing because it just became so important, as evident by World War II. It was spun off into its own branch. That's basically what happened with the Space Force, right? The Air Force, from 1958 onwards until what Space Force created, what, like 2018, 2019. From that period of time, all of the United States' military space activities were a part of the Air Force, and then it's just in the 2010s it got big enough and got important enough as we started launching more things, and it just made sense to make it its own separate branch. It's nothing new, so. Okay, I need docking ports. Surface insulated. They run GPS and nuclear warning systems as well now. Oh, I didn't actually know that. GPS makes sense, but nuclear early warning, like I said, both make sense. Do I want a hub like that, or do I want something like that? Probably something like that. Octogrid. Yeah, there we go. Okay. There we go. All right. This is coming along rather nicely. I now actually need just docking ports on this. I need the Octogrid heavy docking connector. Oh wait a second. Duel's a Space Force facility. Ah. Actually, can I? No, I have to do it. Okay, well that's gonna be annoying, but I mean, yeah, the Space Force also does things like coordinate launches at they own Cape Canaveral, both Space Force Station, Vandenberg, all these major launch sites. You need someone to manage that, right? And before, as I said before, that was the job of the Air Force. But when the Space Force came about, they took over that responsibility because it just made sense to have that be a separate thing. If it took it's not called Thule, it's called Pitafook Space Force Base. Yes, yes. Okay. I think this is good for a core. Uh Hello? Yeah, we're also gonna add lights, because I like to add lights. I think lights make things look so cool. Triangular. I should probably go study peace. Well, thank you for joining in, Not Just a Boulder. Very, very nice conversation. Go study. So, that I had my last finals. I had my last final on two finals on Friday. Um, it's interesting because for my last final was a calculus exam. Um, which I mean, yeah, it's calculus. It's not the most fun thing on earth. But I felt pretty confident going in. And then I started taking the exam and I started feeling significantly less confident. Like, oh, maybe I should have studied a bit more. Probably should have, but there were some questions. There's some questions at the beginning of the exam that I just didn't know how to do, and I just said, okay, I'll come back to these later. And then at the end, the like, oh, I have 3 questions left. This is the last thing between me and being free. And I just said, screw it, I'm just gonna guess these. No idea if I got them right, but I checked my grade. And I'm like, okay, after the exam, I was like, oh gosh, am I gonna get like a 60 on this? I got an 85 on it. You know, that's fine. That means I maintain my winning streak of all A's, which is very, very nice. But don't need life support. Your future utilities, manipulator arms, station. Wait a second, station arms. Since when did we have these? Rotate up. Oh my gosh. I didn't know that this was a thing. Oh, it's rotating in on itself. Construction crane? Huh. Oh yeah, another thing I always like to add to my stations is ladders. Mostly because, when Kerbals are doing their own, like, EVAs, I find these ladders to be, you know, sometimes you might need to want to grab onto something somewhere, so I always find ladders to be kind of useful in that regard. Adding ladders right there. We can add some ladders right there. I guess in that case as well, spotlights. Yes, I think we are going to need spotlights. Oh my gosh. Huh. I do like adding lights to things. I think adding lights to things is really, really nice. Pitch angle. Yeah, but I can increase the pitch angle on this. Probably increase it by like 50 degrees or something. So yeah, it shines down on all the modules down there. Maybe I can bring them up here. Ugh. Do these have pitch angle? Oh yeah, they do. Oop. Yeah, it's gonna be... I guess a more long-term question is how the heck are we gonna get these things out here? Which... You know what I can probably do? Well. Oh well. you build the payload first, and then you design the transportation system around that payload. So I'm not like too worried. Lights on. Yep, there we go. Lights are there, ladders are there. Adding in some of these, like, external stowage units I think might be useful. Especially like here, right? You never know when you're gonna need them, so... let's see. Yeah, something like that. Add the little stowage units right there. Another thing real quick. Let's just for the sake of will the light shine down on that? Oh yeah, they will. Angle of attack, shallower angle of attack. But yeah, the lights there will work. Lights off, I don't need them to blink. Our little stowage units, we have our ladders, surface scanners, I mean, I don't think we're gonna need that. Communications, okay, we are definitely going to need a communications, section. Deployable high gain antenna. I guess what we're gonna do is we're gonna have antennas which extend out like that. And then what I can do is I can add in some relays too. Because the station acting as a relay to station acting as a relay would be nice. Especially if we're trying to do like surface ops. Here, what I can do is I can add that right there. That right there. Ugh. Getting kind of tired. Ugh. Yeah, just keep that deployed right there. And now we need a relay. Relay antenna. Going forward capability. Hmm. 2.5 meter relay, 1.5 meter relay. move that up. We'll need that. There we go. All right. So I think that'll be good. We have our relays, we have our communications. I probably only need this on one side. Save a bit of weight. From symmetry. Thermal. Radiothermal generator, fuel cell. A wheel. What should we put, like, right there? MechJeb 2? Life support. We don't need life support on this particular segment. I guess we can add, like, a little flag. When in doubt, add flag. Okay. So this is going to be... okay. Power and refinery module. Make that white. Set text. Edgeware, reduce the edgeware. Or maybe we'll change it to Helvetica font. Outline. Set fill color. Amarillo. Helvetica. And then down here we'll add Space Fuel Corporation. And then that's going to be that. Our refinery module. I need to get the exact colors. Pull up. Power and refining module. Let's see. Scale. We'll need the big center of mass. Right. Maybe we can drag that right there. Flag. Edgeware. Oh. Oh, wait, come on. Oh, I just need this on one side. Okay. Select flag. NASA. Maybe not 60, more like 50. Uh, 50. There we go. All right, now I just need to get the proper colors. Power and refining module. What it says in the title, yes. Okay, let me go ahead, delete that, delete that. Let me get up our Grumman hopper right here. The fill color. Let me just copy and paste that hex code. Or actually, because I am an absolute... Well, let me copy. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture with this on my phone. We're going to open power and refining module. Set fill color, that is going to be E60 E2E. There we go. Or what maybe we can do, maybe we could split this. Actually, hold up. I want to see something real quick. What time is it? 8:15? Let's see. $35. Up the relay. That's going to be a ridiculously big fairing, but oh well. Maybe it would make sense to actually split this up, because I don't want to build large fairings like that. I guess what I could do is I could split this up into two. I could have the power module and the refining module. And that might actually be better. You know what? I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to split that up. So, power module. Power module is just going to be, well, probably just this up here. That would be the first element that we launch. And then we could have the refining module, which would be this down here. So let me go ahead, save. Okay. I'm gonna remove that. Bring that up right there, yes. And what we're gonna do is docking port. Yes. There we go. The lights are still going to be like that. And we're going to set text. We're just going to call that our module. Okay, yeah, there we go. Let me also can I like shrink this relay? Yeah, there we go. All right. So I just realized that that actually blocks the ladder. So we are actually going to have to change where this ladder is. Let me remove that. Add in... Mm. Uh... We could move that right there. Then add in a ladder right there. Metal Rod. Hello, James Duke Dog. Welcome in. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I think that's better. Right? Maybe move these up like there. All right, I think we're good. So that is the power module. And solar panels out like that. We have our big little big truss segment, right? So yeah, I think that'll look good. Let me go ahead and select an action group to actually like deploy all this out. Lights on. Extend the radiators. Yeah, there we go. Okay, power module. We're gonna save. Doing okay. Wasn't the best day, but far from the worst. Well, if I'm sorry to hear about the bad parts, but I hope the good parts were at least okay. I really didn't do much today. I did all my laundry and I packed up and I'm going home tomorrow to my parents. So I just want to see what this looks like on orbit. And the great part about this power module is this seems very agnostic, basically meaning we can use this anywhere we want. That's what it would look like on orbit. Which, it has monopropellant, it has radiators, it has solar panels, it has everything you need. There's batteries. I put a hole in the barn roof. Oh, well, everything's fixable. I might also need to change that to red text. But yeah, I think this looks really nice. Now we just need our refinery module. I'm calling this station Olympus, by the way. Speaking of, is the Starship WDR even happening? Gosh, watch him do the wet dress rehearsal for this flight at like 2 a.m. SpaceX would do that. Okay. Yeah, we got to... let's see. We gotta... That fill color. Does that fill color? E60... Hold up. Wait, I have the color right here. Ugh. Photos. E60 E2E. There we go. That's better. Alright, I think our power module is complete. And as I said, I can use this for any space station that I want. This is not... Now that I've separated these two modules out to make them easier to launch, I can use this. I can put this anywhere I want. Because all you need, right, is you just need like a little crew module down here, and boom, 2-launch, very capable space station. But let's now go ahead and turn to its twin, which is the power module, or the refining module. Okay. This thing will probably require some keep alive solar panels, but that's fine. Refining module. So we'll take that. I'll leave that right there for now. Oh, wait, hold up. Open our refining module. Yeah. Gonna be the refining module. Ah. Move back these ladders. I don't think we'll need the ladders on this one. We will need some RCS, though. We'll need some RCS, and we'll need some keep alive solar panels. Let me go ahead and just stop those ISRUs, right? Stop. 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 Okay, there we go. And... Yep, right there. Excellent. Now we need mono propellant. I don't know how much mono propellant we will actually need. How much are these Stardust tanks? 20. Okay. Writing module, save. Ugh. Sure, we'll leave those right there, right? Those are kind of out of the way. And we also need solar, right? We need some, as I said, we need some keep alive panels. Those might be a bit too big for keep alive panels, right? Because point is, I said the point is just to keep it alive. It's to make sure that it's not, you know, it's not dying when we go to use it. I am, and the sleepiness is setting in. I can feel it. I can feel it deep inside. Right, there we go. Those will extend out. And I also need... Maybe we don't even need that, right? Wait. Curved solar array. Curved solar array. Okay, the EP is coming. Yes, yes it is. Rapidly approaching. I don't know, man. The semester ended, and all I wanna... The only thing I feel like doing is sleeping. Kind of short lines, rail news, and comment to make this weekend, though. So... I can't be doing nothing but sleeping over the next week until I start my internship. Yeah, there we go. Little solar panels, little batteries, a little bit of monopropellant. We also need a tiny antenna. No, no one calls me that. That's the name of my guy. That's the name of my OC. But no one calls me that. Except for maybe Crimson on occasion. Mostly because it'd feel weird. Mostly because I've been streaming long before since I decided to do VTubing things. And as a result, like, I've had the short line name since 4th grade. I'm going into my junior year of college. And I started college 2 years later than you really should. So I've just been called Shortline for so long on the internet, it just feels weird to be called anything else. Comes more naturally? Maybe. Those tiny little things that really call up to orbit. Okay. I just need a little... Literally just this little thing. Or actually, to make things slightly more interesting, we could just slap a communicatron on there, because it is a deployable, can make it a bit more interesting by having something that sticks out. Yeah. Cracked antenna. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be... Let me go ahead... Save. Let me go ahead and merge the power module real quick. Just so I can grab a couple of things, just to see what this looks like. Reroute. There we go. So that's what it will look like docked together. Our little power tower sort of station. And now what I need to do is I need to that text. Refining module. Oh, refining module. Refining module. Now what we can do is actually to make it a bit more, because make it a bit better, we can just put that, keep that there. That's the refining module. I don't know if I'll put the NASA and FFC logos on it. I'll just, or yeah, maybe I'll put, you know, maybe I will. SFC, NASA. Right. Oh. Do. Okay, we need to shrink these. 0.05. Do. Hold up. Oh, that's way too small. 0.5. That text. There we go. Do. I don't know. I'll think about that. I know one thing that I am absolutely going to do is this summer I do want to with some of the money in which I earn from my internship, I do want to pay for new like stream elements. A new starting screen soon, new overlay, stuff like that. Because all the stuff that I have, I've made myself, and it kind of, frankly, it kind of sucks. But I was thinking, you know, I might as well get some new stream assets. FC NASA. All right, I think that's good. Good, we're gonna do. All right, refining module. There we go. We have our refining module. I guess one thing that which we can do is we can extend antenna, right? Which RCS is that? 2020. It's not going to take too much RCS to rendezvous. All right, I want to test this free flying. This is only going to have to free fly between a little, like once our upper stage, our little tug, and the actual station. Okay. Orbit, min-miss. Yeah, power is stable. We're careful with RCS. I can dock with that amount. But yeah, remember that this doesn't need. We're gonna have the power module up here, as we're not gonna be running these while this is just free flying. This is just so when we finally go to assemble our station for real, the power module will be out there. This will be the second module we send up. We'll have an upper stage, which probably gets it out to this far, and then this will undock from the upper stage and transit over to the power module, and it will dock together, and everything should be good. So, all right, now that I know that works, we can actually begin to make our master craft file, our refining module. I can delete the power and refining module now. I don't need that craft file anymore. Power module, have the refining module, have our hopper. The power module. Let's go ahead and extend all of these out. Lights on. Extend radiators. Open refining module, merge that in. We'll reroute the refining module. We'll dock right there. Extend antenna. And this is going to be... because if I'm using 60s inspired names, this is going to be Olympus Station. Because Olympus was a... and a lot of... it was a name that was most often kicked around in the 60s for like proposed space station names. Station... Save. Okay, friends. Let's see. I think this is good. So this is what the first two modules of the station will be. They'll come together, they'll dock like this, and then we'll have a fueling module here, a fuel NOR module here, a fuel NOR module here, and then we'll have our ore, our landers, probably just dock right there. Well, we're going to have two, so they're going to dock to the ends of that. And then, so yeah, initial capacity will probably be, we only really need two more elements for this to be at initial capacity. We just need a big-ass fuel tank right here in our lander. So... Alright, well... I think that is a project for another day, because it is 8:40. I did want a little bit of time before I went to bed. I typically go to bed at like 10. So, that's what I'm going to do. Alright, let me check. Maiku could work. First thing I get is a Vietnamese restaurant in Pittsburgh. Oh well. I get Miku, the male Japanese name. Imagine having a good sleep schedule. I think I'm gonna stick with Olympus for the station name. Because I'm going off of like stuff like 60s kind of naming convention. So Olympus, because as I said, that was a proposed station name that was kicked around. I don't know, Grumman Hopper, like it's a Grumman product, and Hopper seems like something like it hops between the surface of Minmus and the station, and that just seems like something like, you know, the Grumman Duck is an aircraft that exists. It just seems like they would name it something like that. SS Thomas J. Kelly, the other one's going to be John Hobalt, important figures in the Apollo program. For the actual spacecraft, like the spacecraft that transits between Kerbin and Minmus and the Mun and all the first surfaces of those bodies, That's going to be Star Cruiser. Gonna have Pan Am 1, TWA 1. Gizmonic would be a fun name. That would be really cool, because I do actually occasionally watch some Mystery Science Theater. But, oh, you were talking about the satellite. Yes, yes. But, oh, well. I think I'm gonna stick with the names that I have, because I like my names. So... I guess the main question is, Radio Free Kerbin is streaming Kerbal Space Program. I'm going to rate this person. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I don't know when I'm going to be streaming next. It probably won't be tomorrow. Probably not Monday either. But maybe Monday, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what my schedule is going to look like next week because I don't have a schedule. The only thing that I really need to do is I need to prep for my internship, which mostly involves getting more professional, like, business casual clothing. And then making that short lines, or I guess the short lines rounders a comment video. That's pretty much all I need to do next week. And just, like, relax and hang out with my family and go see Project Hail Mary with my sister. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope y'all have an excellent night. Thank you, Thrillville, James Duke Dog, Not Just Boulder, Tara, Crimson, and that's it. I'm going to raid Kerbal Space Program. Let's see. Oh, this other person is also Fox, who is playing Kerbal Space Program, so I feel like I am legally obliged to... I have no idea who this person is, but they appear to be flying around, just landed on the Mun, playing KSP. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.